Collins.
Thanks, Karen Cola. I think the first point I want to make, and is following up from what Deputy Wallace was saying there in relation to privatisation, because I don't believe that there is enough safeguards in the legislation to stop that from happening. And the experience over the last number of years is that once charges are introduced for essential public services, privatisation follows, and that has been the natural policy from the European policy, etc. So, unless there's something actually written into the bill to say that in future that there can be no privatisation, I'm sure that can be challenged by competition laws in Europe, etc. I don't know, but that's why I believe that setting up a single company is leading to that. I mean, I think one of the other reasons why I believe Irish Water be privatised is the proposal in the bill to allow to borrow from private investors using its assets, i.e. water and infrastructure, as collateral, because this can lead to a situation where private investors have a claim on the assets of Irish Water, and that's another reason why I think it's a clear indication that the privatisation is on course in relation to Irish Water. These assets of both the assets of Irish Water, that's the infrastructure, water, etc., belong to the Irish people. And despite there being a problem with underfunding over the last number of years through the state has played a key role in developing that water and infrastructure. I'd just like to pay tribute to the engineers and the workers in the water section of the local authorities. My dealings with those authorities in Dublin City Council has been second to none in relation to their experience, their knowledge, their hands-on, and just from the point of view of even that last big freeze we had in 2011, the knowledge that the inspectors had and the engineers had was just incredible, and that experience would be hugely damaging to lose, I think, from my point of view. And I believe there has been, and maybe the Minister can clarify, there has been sort of an agreement with SIP to do transfer of undertakings of a number of engineers from Dublin City Council into Bord Gáis as well, into this new company, Irish Water. And if that's the case, it'd be good to know that is the situation. I think the Victorians understood, despite the limits of science and medicine at the time, that clean drinking water, the management of sewerage, and the collection of disposal of household waste were essential to public health. And it's the reason why we've had a public system to provide water and manage waste and sewerage over the last century. Turning these essential public services essential to public health into simple commercial transactions between a private company and consumers is a very retrograde step, and it's something I think really needs to be addressed. I'd like to make a point. Other TTs have made the point about the privatisations and privatisation of water in other countries. In actual fact, in France, traditionally the water in France was privatised since Napoleon, but now has been reversed and taken back into public ownership, public control. Also, a number of cities in Germany were privatised, and through local voting in the areas, in the local authority areas, they've been taken back under public control. Then we've seen the huge problems in Northern Ireland. I think that's a clear indication, the problems that private companies have in actually trying to deal with severe problems in relation to the big freezes again in 2011, and it's been referred to by several deputies. I think it's really important that we keep the water service in public control. It would be very useful in the debate to get some clear answers from the government in relation to their plans for water metering and charges. For one, is it a fact that some 300,000 houses cannot be metered, and what is proposed to do there? Is it true that apartment blocks will have 1 metre to assess, or proposed to have 1 metre to assess the block, and the bill will be shared by all the residents? Is it true that the government planned to bring in assessed charges for water in 2014? Has that been agreed with the Troika last year? And that the water metering programme will not be complete, and the water metering programme will not be completed for a number of years. Recently, Bord Gáis initiated a programme of replacement of gas meters only in the Dublin area, and it took years to complete. So how long is the government thinking that water metering is going to take place, and then have this assessment that has been proposed in the meantime? The other thing about this, the water meter or water tax, it's not based on ability to pay. It's obviously not going to be based on use, because they're going to have no metering for a number of years because of the problems you have there. And I think this, and it's seen by many people, just talking to people even watching the debate here today, that's another smash and grab, like your fellow TDs in government have said in relation to the property tax, to get 500 million and to bend to the knees, bend to the nod of the Troika.